Hello there and welcome to this lovely sunny yet quite blustery day here in West Sussex. Hopefully the microphones will be able to cope with the additional wind. So this video is about 5 pieces of genius level gardening advice that you could put in place in your garden. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a genius because I know some of you out there get offended by such little things. I'm just saying that the advice is genius level. I mean, I did write the script. It is my advice. What is that? Oh yeah. Welcome to the channel. My name's Simon. You're watching Walkie Talking Gardeners.
Genius advice number 1. Container watering.
This has to do with I've got a fly up my flipping nose. This is to do with those plants that are grown in containers. Now, you may have your container grown plants outside, and if it rains, guaranteed it will never rain enough in order to water those plants, because quite often the foliage canopy is beyond the edges of the pot, so when it rains on the plant, the rain just drips over the side, the pot does not get wet, and if it does, it is never going to get wet enough. You cannot not water your container grown plants. And there's some additional things you need to know about this. You probably know that plants regulate their temperature as we do by releasing moisture, and they do that through a specialist pore called a stomatal pore, which you'll find using a microscope underneath the leaf with a few on top of the leaf. So when conditions get warm, if they're in direct sunlight, if it's quite windy with a warm wind, the plant will release moisture through the stomatal pores, as we would do in our sweat pores, in order to cool themselves down so that the temperature of the plant doesn't go above 42 degrees, because if that happens, you get denaturalization of the enzymes, the plant will die. So on warm, hot, direct sun, windy days, you need to be very, very careful with the watering of your containerized plants. You can be watering every single day and sometimes as much as twice a day with these plants. But the thing is, how do you know if your pots require watering? Well, there are 2 ways. The first is to use your finger. Put your finger in the soil, and if the top inch or 2 are still dry, then it is time to water these plants. The second is to do as the old school gardeners did in the 19th and 20th centuries, when stone pots or terracotta pots were at their most prevalent. I think that's the right word. You would be familiar with terracotta pots and the sound it makes. If it is dry and you tap it with an appropriate stick, the pot will make a ringing sound. If it is fully watered, then the pot, you would tap it and it would have a dull kind of thud to it. So just by tapping a pot, you'd be able to tell if that pot requires watering or does not require watering. Those are some old school skills. Now, I know I said there were 2 ways in order to tell whether your plant needs watering, but there is another one, but it's only really suitable for small pots that you can lift, and even then it's more for plastic containers. Now, if you know how much your plant weighs when it is watered and when it is not watered, you can then quickly tell by picking it up whether it is too dry or too wet. So that's very simple. You can of course do it with terracotta pots, but because they're already quite heavy, then the difference in a wet terracotta plant and a dry terracotta plant, there isn't so much of a difference. It's a bit more difficult to tell, but I thought I would mention that just to stop people from putting it in the comments. So there you go. You can tell by weight. A lot easier to do so with plastic pots, which you can lift easier. You just got to be familiar with how much a wet and a dry pot weighs. Put these back. That one needs watering. Be aware that if your pots are next to a house wall, then they will be under the eaves of the house, and this will create a rain shadow when it does rain. So even if it rains a lot and your plants are outside, they will get little to no water whatsoever, because it won't be coming underneath the eaves. Oh, hold on a minute. If you're finding this video useful, or even just mildly amusing, then don't forget to click the thumbs up, press on that subscription, and if you want to be notified of whenever we release a new video, then click on that notification bell. It helps us more than you know, and it allows us to do stupid visits like this in the future. Anyway, let's continue to find out what old Boiled Butt has to say. I've got bloody glasses back on. Too hot, too sunny. It's too lovely. But it doesn't end there, because the different genuses of plants, or genre, if you're going to be fancy about it, they are from all different parts of the world, and they all have evolved in different environments. So you can't treat two plants the same. If you're not sure what the watering requirements of your plant are, then you can always check on the Royal Horticultural Society's website. Arguably one of the best gardening websites in the planet. So if you have such a thing as a Dazzlerian, this is a xerophytic plant, comes from Mexico, comes from the deserts. It requires very little watering, otherwise the roots can become infected by soil-borne fungal. Let me just check here. We have a Ancet ventricosa morelli. This is from Africa and comes from swampy conditions, so this needs to be wet pretty much permanently. You cannot water these plants in the same way. One or both of them will die. So always do your research first when you're buying new plants and putting them in containers outside, and that way you will water them perfectly every single time.
Genius advice number 2. Right plant but wrong place.
People usually buy plants for one of three reasons. It's either there to do a job, such as cast shade or provide security or give privacy. Secondly, it's because it looks nice and it's drawn your attention and you like it. And the third reason is that you have a place in the garden that doesn't look very nice and you're looking for something that will brighten it up, make it look better. On the whole, well, at least one of those reasons is actually quite good, but the other two don't work very well, because instead of buying plants and put them where you want them to do, what you should be doing is checking the conditions that that plant requires, identifying just going to move over from that wind, identifying what parts of your house or garden can provide such conditions, and then plant it there. So it's a little bit counterintuitive, but what you are doing is you're providing the very best growing conditions for that plant in order for it to perform at its best. So that could be ornamental foliage, flowering, or fruit production. Put the wrong plant in the wrong place, it will underperform, look sickly, and may even die. So to avoid being a plant murderer, you should check the name again into the Royal Horticultural Society's website, and it will bring up the requirement conditions. That can be due to sheltered, it can be due to soil conditions, it can be due to pH of the soil, watering, sunlight, a myriad of conditions that plant does require in order to perform at its best. For example, we have this lovely giant-leaved hosta. Don't worry about that is just for slugs. It is a beer trap. And look at the size of these leaves. These are as big as your head. Now, hostas are native to Northeast Asia and are found in damp, wet regions under the cover of a woodlands canopy. So they do not like dry conditions. They do not like full sun. If you plant them in full sun, those leaves will scorch and look shocking. If you plant them in a dry period, they will just dry up. They do not like it. They must have the shade. They must have permanently moist conditions in a free draining soil. It's not an aquatic plant. It doesn't want to be waterlogged. Just be aware, in the UK you are going to have to put in your slug protection. The other plant is this. It is the Strelitzia regina, commonly known as the bird of paradise plant, native to South Africa, and this plant requires full sun all day, every day, and as much heat as you can possibly give it. It will require a certain amount of water during the growing period, but you would stop watering pretty much altogether over the winter. You cannot put these plants in the same place or treat them in the same way. One or both will die.
Genius advice number 3. Greenhouse management.
The glass in your greenhouse manipulates and changes the light as it passes through and heats up the air inside. So if you don't open your door or open your windows during hot days, the air can heat up to extremely high temperatures, approximately 40, maybe even 50 degrees Celsius. Now, unless you have a xerophytic plant, which is a plant that has evolved to survive in hot, dry conditions, your plants are going to have a problem. As we said earlier, in order to regulate their temperatures so they do not get too hot, they release moisture from the somatal pores, and if it gets too hot, it will release a lot of water, and if it's too hot, it will lose more water than it can physically absorb from the ground through its roots. And God forbid the ground is dry, because then there is an extremely high chance of you losing your plants. So in hot weather, always make sure you have good ventilation. Make sure your windows are open, make sure your doors are open. Furthermore, you can paint the side of the greenhouse that faces the sun with a whitewash, which helps reflect some of the heat back. And one last thing, if you have a concrete base to your floor, consider watering the base of the floor. That has a cooling effect on the entire greenhouse. I see dead plants in greenhouses so often, you just wouldn't believe it. And if you know you're going to be away and you just don't know what to do, you can buy automatic window openers for your roof lights. So there you go. Greenhouses, they are a big risk of plants if you do not control the temperature. Just be aware of that. Always make sure you have good ventilation and mitigate other ways, including watering the floor, whitewash on the facing side of your greenhouse.
Genius advice number 4. Avoid wetting foliage.
This is another watering base issue. I mean, plants are affected by environmental conditions, and watering is a big part of that. Try and avoid watering the foliage of your plants. Yes, I know leaves get wet when it rains, but it doesn't need you also chucking a load of water on top like some kind of watering demon. There are certain plants that are extremely prone to picking up fungal infections, and having wet leaves exacerbates that issue. So plants like tomatoes, like roses, like courgettes, the list goes on. If you water the foliage of potatoes, windy. If you water the foliage, you are going to dramatically increase the risk of fungal infection in these plants. And certain plants from the Solanaceae family, so tomatoes, potatoes, they are at risk from infection from late blight, potato blight, tomato blight. It's all the same blight. It's Phytophthora infestans. It's extremely fast acting, and if you are going to water the foliage of your plants, you are going to almost guarantee infections from that. So any plant that is at high risk of fungal infections, always plant in a well ventilated area. Never water the foliage. Always water just at the base of the plant where the roots are. It's where the roots are, that's what wants to water, the roots, not the leaves.
Genius advice number 5. The importance of taproots.
Now, many gardeners out there probably won't even consider trying to produce their own plants from seed, and tend to just take the easier route of going to the garden centre and picking what somebody else has grown, and hopefully you'll see it, you'll like it, and you will buy it. Now, you may not know that plants that are seed grown compared to those plants that have been taken from vegetative propagation, such as cuttings, they are far superior, both in their health, in their robustness, in their ability to cope with cold weather. It goes on, and that is because it is all down to the quality of their root system, in particular the taproot. Head gardeners know that if you can grow a plant from seed directly into its final position, even compared to a plant grown from seed in a pot in a nursery, that plant will be significantly superior in its robustness and quality. And it's down to the taproot. That taproot being allowed to develop naturally works absolute wonders with the quality of your plant. They are more likely to survive cold winters, droughts. It is just a far superior plant, and head gardeners such as the head gardener at Tresco, whose name escapes me, I will just put his name up there because that's not good, will absolutely sing the praises of direct sown seeds. It's not spoken about. It's a little secret amongst the head gardeners of the world, and if you can do it, I know it's labour intensive and a bit of a faff, you're going to get the best quality plants. You really are. And that's a little tip. Genius level. So there you have it. Those are my 5 genius level tips for you in this video. I'm going to give you an extra 6th one, and that is to always be vigilant with regards to pests and disease. Check weekly, put your management in place, do not be caught out, so that you never have a massive problem and the garden always remains at the same kind of quality all the time. Anyway, if you have any other genius gardening advice, then put that in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description. You can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough, I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.